Hello mamas! Today we're going to try to sew a little plushie just to try out my camera and my mic and my headset and my setup. So I've cut out 2 pieces of fabric. One side has an opening for after we turn it. We're just going to sew it with a straight stitch. Pretty typical needle placement. Fairly wide stitch because it's fleece. Large enough needle that it won't bend or break. Really can sew anywhere because this is all just sort of improvised. Never be afraid to just improvise. I improvise the vast majority of what I sew. Mistakes happen. Sometimes you learn really cool things from mistakes. It's more fun to just dive in. I don't do a lot of planning. I don't use patterns. I just sort of wing it for almost everything I do. And then if it works and you want to reproduce it, then you do something like a pattern. Reverse engineer it. Trim off your tails. My trash can's right under my desk. It makes it easy. You've got your basic sewn around the edges, and then I just go and trim. Okay, so I've sewn it all around the outside. I've left a little hole in the middle to turn it through. Turn it through that hole. Push it to the corners with your fingers. Also, if you turn it and it doesn't look perfect, you can go back and you can turn it back again and sew wherever it looks uneven. Nobody can see the inside, so any mistakes you make on that side or any times you have to sew multiple times on one side, it doesn't matter because nobody can see it. There you go, your plushie's all turned. I bet you can get what that is. I'm sure not going to use the words. Let me find my batting and I will stuff it. So you've got your little plush. And then I have this fabric that I got from a friend. It's shiny, silvery. I just cut a rectangle of it out, but I will cut it into an oval. Okay, I've got my plushie stuffed, and now I'm going to try and sew a little oval between one layer of fleece and one layer of the shiny fabric just to give it some texture. Make it a little more consistent when I go to sew it together. So I've got my ovals there. You can see it. Just gonna trim off the edges now. And I'm probably gonna end up hand sewing this to the other piece. Gonna look a little bit like this. Set that aside. Now for the back. You could also cut a hole here and have the stuffing go through to both sides, but I wasn't gonna bother with it. I'm using a piece of batting. And then just a rectangle of the fleece, folding it over the batting. Ends up being just folded in like that. You can pin it in place, or you can just freeform it. The batting is what holds its shape, so you don't really need to worry about it. It won't. You can use that for the straight edges of the rectangle. Makes it pretty easy. Okay, so I hand sewed the rest. You can see it. I hand sewed on the face mask, just around the sides, and the little backpack. And then to round out the feet, I just pushed in the corners and just loop stitched them a little bit, just to pull them tight, so it's more rounded. They can sit. You can stuff it more or less, but you know, this was really rough. And then I did the little sock version for a little mini friend, little pet, crewmate, whatever. Anyway, my kids, this is the color that my son plays with, so